I've gotten a request before to make a video about how to say really in Korean, and when I actually sat down and started thinking of it, there are a lot of ways to say really. And we're gonna talk about some of the most common ways and some of the most useful ways, so let's get started. So first I wanna say that all of these words are adverbs. These words are used, therefore, by themselves, if you want, like just saying really, or directly before a verb. Whereas in English, we would say really nice. In Korean, you would also say really, and then whatever it is that you want to say after that. The first word is 정말 or 정말로. 정말로 is a little bit less common, but 정말 is the most standard, polite way of saying really. So you can use it in a sentence by itself. You can just say 정말요? Really? Or 정말이에요? Like, is that real? Really? Or if you wanted to be polite, you can say 정말입니다. 정말입니까? If you're asking a question. Most standard way of saying it. If you want to be polite every time, use 정말. The next one is 진짜, and this is probably one of the most common ones that I know Korean learners learn first. One thing to note though is this is not a very polite word. So if you're speaking in any formal situation or to someone who you would normally want to speak extra politely, avoid using this word because it does have kind of a casual connotation to it. So you could say something like 진짜야 or just 진짜. Or if you want to be a little polite, you can also say 진짜예요. But typically you wouldn't say 진짜입니까 or 진짜입니다 because that's a more formal ending and this is not really a formal word. One more thing about 진짜 is it's also used as an adjective to mean something that's real or legitimate. So you could say 진짜 금, real gold. The next word is 되게. So this is a casual word that you can say that means really, but it has a meaning of kind of something extremely so. So you can say 되게 더워. It's extremely hot or it's really hot. So this is more emphatic, more emphasis on the word really and used casually. Let's talk about another standard word, 아주. Now this is quite a polite and normal way of saying very, but it can also have the meaning of really, depending on how you're using it. So 아주 is neither casual nor formal, it's pretty standard, and you can get away with using it in any situation that you'd like. So if you were to say 아주 맛있어요, it can either mean very delicious or really delicious, depending on how you want to translate it. 아주 has one more use to mean for good or altogether. For example, you might want to say someone left for good. 아주 가버렸어요. She left or he left for good, as in forever. Another one that's similar to 아주 is 매우. 매우 also can translate as very or really, but 매우 is slightly more formal and slightly more, I'd say, polite, so less common than 아주. So you could say something like 매우 기뻐요, I'm very happy, but you wouldn't typically use this one with casual speech as much as you might another word. 몹시 is another word that means very or really, but specifically it means that something cannot be any more so. And it's typically used to say something is awfully a certain way in a negative sense, but it doesn't have to be, and it can also be used in regular sentences too. For example, you could say 몹시 추운 날씨, awfully cold weather. So cold in the negative sense, as in it's can't possibly be colder than this weather. Another one is 굉장히, which means greatly or very or really. Specifically, it's used for talking about things that are wonderfully a certain way. So it's often used for talking about positive things, not negatives. So if you were to say that someone is 굉장히 똑똑해요, you're saying that they're wonderfully, in a good way, greatly smart, very or really smart. Another one that's kind of similar to 굉장히 but has a different use is 대단히, which means extremely. But this word 대단히 is often used for describing someone's accomplishment. So if somebody does something that's, say, extremely great or extremely impressive, then that accomplishment is often described using 대단히, really, or very. For example, you could say that a movie was 대단히 재밌어요, extremely entertaining. It's also used commonly together with phrases such as 감사합니다, or 죄송합니다, I'm extremely thankful, or I'm extremely sorry. 참, which means truly or really or very much. And this one is used slightly more by older people, but it's still used by younger people as well. This is a bit more of a formal or polite adverb that means really. And you might hear it if someone compliments your looks, maybe you're really pretty, 참 예뻐요, wow, you are truly pretty. Also, you might hear 참 used together with 참. 참. What this means is, oh, yeah, when you realize something, such as maybe you forgot to say something and now you've realized that you're supposed to say it. Now let's go over a really common one that you might not think means really, but it can. 많이, which literally means a lot of. So if you were to say 많이 있어요, it means I have or there exists a lot of something. But it can also be used with descriptive verbs such as, for example, 취했어요, which means drunk. So 많이 취했어요 literally means a lot of drunk, very or really, he's really drunk. So while normally the adverb itself means a lot of, depending on how it's used, you can also translate it as really or very. The next one is 너무, which actually has two different meanings depending on how it's being used. If you're using this in writing, or such as like an essay or something more formal and polite, it simply means too much of. So if you said 너무 많이 먹었어요, I ate a lot, too much. You're saying I ate too much. But when you're using 너무 in slang, in casual spoken Korean, it simply means so. Like something is so nice, so delicious, so funny. So if you were to say 너무 맛있어요, it means it's so delicious. Sometimes in writing and in speaking, this word will be repeated twice. So people might say 너무 맛있어요. So good. Also, when people are speaking, you might just hear 너무 extended. 너무 맛있어요. You can do this in speaking, but you should not do this in writing. The next one is 완전, which means completely. The standard way to use this word is as a regular adjective, 완전히, which just means to do something completely, or to say that something is completely a certain way. You might say, for example, that a person 완전히 변했어요. He completely changed, he's a different person now. But in spoken casual Korean, this word is used without the he, simply as 완전. In that case, it means really, completely really. This word's also used negatively with negative verbs, in which case it would be not at all. So you could say something like 완전 실패였어요. It was literally a complete failure, or it was really a failure. Two more words, 레알 and 진심. 레알 is just a Korean spelling of the English word real. And this is a slang word that's only used by, I'll say, kids and teenagers. So you might see it. I would recommend not using it because it can make your Korean sound a bit immature. The same thing goes with 진심, which literally means sincerity. Just the word 진심 by itself is another slang word that kids or teenagers might use to mean, you serious, bro? Be aware of it. Feel free to use it if you want to joke about it with your friends, but avoid using these in any other sort of work-related or formal situation. These are all the words that I can think of for how to say really and very. Let me know if you have any others in the comments that I missed. Thank you for watching. Also, thank you to my Patreon supporters and to my YouTube supporters. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.